Now, far more questions than answers in the Cybertruck situation out in Las Vegas. Apparently, he was a huge Trump guy who loved his country, yet for some reason decided to do the things that he did in front of Trump Tower. Now, was this a broken man? Well, we have new information that says he was recently dumped by his wife for cheating. So I don't know if he'd be all that broken. The weapons he chose now revealed. Text messages now revealed. And it all reveals far more questions than answers. I suspect Elon Musk obtaining some video footage might clear some of this stuff up. But boy, oh boy, is this situation, let's just say, very odd. We're going to get into that after a super quick word from this video sponsor, Private Internet Access. Shout out to this video sponsor, Private Internet Access. Look, if you aren't using a VPN yet, you're completely missing out, and Private Internet Access is the one I use on all of my devices. If you've been following the news, you see that censorship, websites, apps are getting shut down in certain countries, all sorts of craziness. Well, a VPN helps you never have to worry about that. Private Internet Access also protects you from the prying eyes of hackers, internet service providers, and others that can view your personal data. Perhaps also just as importantly, Private Internet Access allows you to access region-restricted content from all over the world. Streaming services like Netflix, Amazon Prime, and more have different library options based on where you're located, and some shows simply cannot be accessed if you're not in the target location. Happens to me all the time. Many sports events also have regional blackouts. Well, VPNs can be a convenient way to make sure you're getting the content that you're paying for. Private Internet Access also allows you to protect an unlimited amount of devices all at the same time, so your entire household with a single subscription. And I've been working with Private Internet Access so long that I have an absolutely massive discount available to my viewers. Link in the description below. Get Private Internet Access today using my link. Save huge, protect your computers, access all the content that you've been paying for, and ensure that your internet is never censored. Now we finally have some information here about what happened. Now, this seems less like a Terry situation if he was alive at the time of detonation, but he actually wasn't. In fact, he used a .50 caliber Desert Eagle to ventilate himself moments before detonation, allegedly. Now, what a lot of people are curious about was, hey, was a vehicle summoned using the autopilot summon feature? I don't know. I actually don't know if that's enabled on the Cybertruck yet. I know it's on some of the other Tesla vehicles. Was it autopiloted there after he had passed away? Supposedly, this man was beyond recognition. Okay? They had to use his tattoos to identify him. But somehow, they find his identification relatively unharmed. Perfectly fine for them to identify. Very, very suspicious stuff. Incredible how flame-resistant passports are in very specific situations, people point out on the internet. Of course, you have two options from Clint Russell, and I tend to agree with him. One, a special forces dude decided to check out before setting off the device that was designed to be minimally lethal but highly symbolic, or somebody else took his life and the Cybertruck was self-driven or summoned to its location. Now, Elon did send a Tesla team to retrieve the truck's interior camera footage. We'll see. If we see that footage, I'll believe it. It is number one. If we don't, because the data was corrupted or whatever, you can bet the house that it was number two. I think there's probably a third option where, maybe his body was placed there and he didn't even know about the stuff in the trunk. I don't know. Maybe using I don't know. The whole thing is really weird. Now, Matt Tardillo writes, wait before assuming guilt. Matthew was a suspect in the Tesla Cybertruck situation twice last month. Someone pretending to be a Green Beret from my former Operation Detachment, ODA, sister team contacted me and showed extensive knowledge of personal information about the Green Beret they claimed to be, who is still on active duty. The person who contacted me claimed to want to self-delete, likely in an attempt to get me to SWAT his house with either police or Green Berets to make sure he was okay. This would have given away his location if it was not already known. Matthew served in the same ODA and held the same position as the person who was impersonated. A lot is not adding up here. On top of that, we also have, Matthew, Green Beret Naptime writes, Matthew is a patsy. The question is for who and what purpose. Let's break down why I think it's true by going through everything we know. First and most obvious reason is because PDF reported that he passed away due to his own, ventilation prior to the explosion, yet there were no reported noises in the 15 and 20 seconds before. And honestly, you could probably point to the fact that you didn't hear anything in the video. Why didn't you hear anything in the video? Now, if they can roll back that video footage and we can hear some sort of noise before that, well then this seems pretty easy to prove if they wanted to prove it. Needless to say, it's odd that they would pick a .50 caliber right before, then of course detonating. It makes no sense. I've seen some people saying maybe he didn't want to burn, so he did that first, but I believe it's silly. Any professional trying to carry out actual attack would want the boom to, go off without an issue. They wouldn't check out before they had made sure that would happen. As for the rifle he also had in the vehicle, it had no iron sights nor any other optics, which basically makes it worthless for any type of engagement. Another red flag, like it was tossed in there. The second reason is because he was highly experienced special forces soldier, that he would not have created such an abomination of a device that was both silly and ineffective. He was in SF for long enough to have used the Carver matrix to understand more than basics explosives. The third reason is that his signal safety number changed just after the explosion. Then somehow his photo and safety number changed after the explosion. Clearly this was manipulated by somebody other than him. He was deceased and he would not have been able to change it on the app. This is a number that you use to verify your identity on Signal. The fourth reason is that Green Berets that knew him are convinced that he could not have done this, nor would have any reason to do so. Anger Tab has also reported that he was approached by someone pretending to be a Green Beret, which I just talked about, with the same claim. The fifth reason is he was still on active duty and had a 6-month-old baby with his new wife. He had a literal multitude of jobs ahead of him when he retired. Yes, I understand that sometimes people end their own lives for one reason or another, but it doesn't make sense. Also, on a side note, the .50 cal ensured that his entire head was little more than a splatter, destroying any hope of obtaining and matching dental records in the process. That's what tells me this smells. Now, he did text an ex-girlfriend leading up into this, where he had talked about renting the vehicle. Talked about how fast it was. Here he says, he texted a former girlfriend after he rented the vehicle 2 days before the incident. It matches my Kobe 2 shoes. I don't know what that is. Some sort of basketball shoes I had when I was a little. So he has this picture. That must be his ex-girlfriend. What's been going on the past couple of years? How is Germany? Oh, okay. It's been wild. So much fun and learning. I rented a Tesla Cybertruck. It's the shiz. I'm building drones in my new position. You would love it. I feel like Batman or Halo. I don't know if that's cool or if I should bully you about it. How fast is it? Ungodly. So he loved the vehicle. He sounded happy. He looks like he was trying to maybe hook up with his ex. And then he did this the next day. Nothing adds up. I want to show you just a brief section of this video. I can't personally verify everything in it, so I'm not going to present it as absolute fact. But this is a video that's been going around a long time. And it coincides with his uncle, what his uncle said. He said, Livlisberger could have fashioned a device that would have obliterated half of the hotel if he seriously wanted to hurt others. His uncle, Dean Livlisberger, said, think of Oklahoma City. He was identified as a man. Of course he could have. And it sounds like he rented the Cybertruck not because he planned on using it in the incident, but because he thought it was awesome and fast. He used to have all this patriotic stuff on Facebook. He was 100% loving the country, he continued. He loved Trump, and he was always very, very patriotic soldier, a patriotic American. Does it sound like somebody maybe forced him to do this? I can't prove that. But I'll leave you with a little clip of this video.
Are you the Oklahoma City bomber?
Yeah.
Maybe one of the benefits of me talking to you today is that you'll see that maybe not everything is true that you've heard about me.
On the morning of April 19, 1995, a decorated Gulf War combat vet blew up the federal building in Oklahoma City using a truck bomb that he didn't build and a Ryder truck that he didn't rent with the help of a passenger who didn't exist. Having just gotten away with the largest act of terrorism on U.S. soil to date, the Fort Bragg-trained Special Forces Sheep Drip Dropout blended in with the crowd by making his getaway in a car without a license plate and was immediately pulled over. The ATF was the supposed target of the attack, but luckily all of their agents were out of the office that morning.
Oh, what a coincidence.
Later that day, the president boldly declared,
"We will find the people who did this.
People.
And
When we do, justice will be swift, certain, and severe."
Except for
John Doe number 2.
John Doe number 2.
John Doe number 2.
who, according to the FBI, never existed. In McVeigh's unprecedented 3.5-week trial, the prosecution didn't show the CCTV footage of him and John Doe number 2 parking the Ryder truck. Didn't explain why 24 separate witnesses mass hallucinated the existence of John Doe number 2. Didn't explain why the government was testing truck bombs and the Army was storing Ryder trucks at Camp Gruber right before the bombing, and didn't talk to the FBI informants who blew the whistle on the plot. But they did collaborate with the CIA, and they did convict McVeigh as the lone wolf bomber and Terry Nichols as his bomb-constructing accomplice.
Oh.
Still, a bunch of crazy conspiracy theorists, including 300 bombing victims, insist on talking about facts and evidence and refuse to simply believe what they've been told a million times by people in tailored suits with well-coiffed hair. They quote the U.S. Army Brigadier General and the FBI crime lab whistleblower and the inventor of the neutron bomb who point out the physical impossibility that the Ryder truck bomb did the damage to the building, but that doesn't matter because if there were other bombs in the building that day, we would have heard about them.
Right?
The second explosive was found and diffused.
I think he said another bomb.
The Justice Department is reporting that a second explosive device has been found.
A third one,
They
I
then
thought.
found a third device, which was also larger than the first.
And I see another bomb truck going, so apparently they're going to try to get out that third bomb.
The FBI claims to have lost the footage showing McVeigh and John Doe number 2 parking the truck in front of the Murrah building that morning, but that's understandable because the Bureau has a lot of important evidence to store. Terry Nichols insists the FBI was involved in the plot, but thankfully a judge has saved us the trouble of listening to him by preventing lawyers from deposing him.
Oh, thank God.
There was a bomb squad truck parked across the street 2 hours before the blast, but that just shows the authorities were prepared for anything.
I mean, I'll leave it there. We'll play the rest of it on today's live stream. I hope you were informed by this video. If you were, please do make sure you leave a like on the video and you subscribe down below, and we'll talk to you again real soon.